What's up, guys? It's Sean Odo, owner of Valhalla Training Grounds, and you listen to the Valhalla Chronicles. This is not the bullshit that you read on social media. These aren't fake stories told by fake people. These are the Chronicles of life. With me today, one of my three new co-hosts, Taylor McDowell. We're switching stuff up on the Valhalla Chronicles to kind of provide you guys with some more value. So we're gonna have three different co-hosts. One, depending on what topic we're talking about. Sneaky Sal will be the co-host if we have a political or societal topic to talk about.
He always has a new nickname.
Yeah, Sal's got tons of different personalities, so Sal gets tons of different nicknames. Taylor will be our co-host when we have a relationship topic. And Chad Brown, who's been on the show before, he will be the co-host when we have a personal growth or development topic. So today I have my beautiful co-host, Taylor McDowell, with me.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being on. So today we have a pretty intense topic to talk about. It's something that Taylor and I have kind of been on both sides of, that she feels pretty strongly about and I have experience in. So it should make for a very, very good discussion today. But today's topic is, can a person or a relationship come back from cheating? And when I say come back, I mean become better, thrive, be better than before, put all that shit in the past, not go back to it, blah, blah, blah. So I have personal experience with this because I was a habitual cheater for about 4 years, right when the gym opened, which if y'all have listened to the show, y'all know all about because I've talked about it in detail. Taylor knows. Been very transparent with Taylor about the whole thing. So I actually am in the position of the person that came back from that. And I know a lot of people listening have probably had experiences with being in relationships with infidelity or they've been the person that, was cheating or whatever. So yeah, I figured this was a pretty good, intense topic to talk about. Taylor was so fucking pumped when I said that this was a topic that we were going to talk about. She was like, "Oh, great!" But gotta have like our one of our other episodes. Gotta have difficult conversations.
You're just having me just get better and better at these.
So this is the next one.
Thank you.
So I guess I'll go first, and you can kind of you can give me your input and this and that. We'll talk about your different experiences with shit. But, so, me personally, if y'all haven't listened before, when the gym first opened, it completely consumed my life. Completely dug myself into this big, black, dark hole where I was completely, detracted and removed from fucking reality, from myself, everything, and developed very, very toxic, very unhealthy habits from being removed from all that, to where I essentially just became a habitual cheater for about 4 years, which ended in divorce, obviously. But when I came out of all that, and the fog kind of lifted, I saw my life and myself for what I had done, and was in horrid disbelief at what the fuck I had done, and that was actually the first thing I told myself was, what the fuck have I done, and then realized that that's not who I was, and wanted to get reconnected with myself, and wanted to, be the man that I believe in, with the values that I believe in, so got into a program and got help, and, have really grown ever since, and haven't gone back down that path. It's been 5 years now, going on 5 years. Mm-hmm. So, me personally, from my experience, I have to say that I know for a fact that a person can come back from that. It's not easy and it's not fun, and it takes a lot of work. But if that's truly where you want to be, and you truly don't believe in the things that you were doing, and you really want to live aligned with those values and morals that you identify with, I believe that you can come now my relationship didn't come back from that, but I came back from that.
Mm-hmm.
And it took a lot of work, and it was very, very painful work, but I was able to get back to myself and be the person that I want to be and live the life that I want to be and ultimately have the relationship, the type of relationship that I want to have.
And I can fully attest that you came back from that, just from being with you and dating you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any signs of.
Yeah, and you know everything I did.
5 years ago. Well, yeah, I ended up actually, and we talked about this.
Yeah.
I ended up actually deleting you completely off of Facebook and social media when all
I just
of that,
recently found out about this, actually.
yeah, when all of that went down, because that's how against it that I am.
Yeah,
I didn't even know you, and I was like, nah.
Yeah,
really?
just so y'all know, to give you some backstory, cheating is one of Taylor's non-negotiables.
That is an absolute non-negotiable for me.
Just a little side note for y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but that was my comment. That you have come back from it, and it was to the point where I saw what had happened years ago, and I was like, nope, don't even want to affiliate with Sean. And I completely deleted you off of everything.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until years later when your friend requested me, and I was like.
Which I don't even remember doing, which is funny.
Yeah, I was like, all right, let's see what all this is about. So I accepted your friend request, and we've been friends on Facebook for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Since before we started dating.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Yeah, but I've been on the other side of that where I
Correct.
have been cheated on, in multiple relationships, and I never came back from it. So that's my experience from that. That's why it's no longer non-negotiable for me. Because before...
Well, that's why it is a non-negotiable for you.
Well, right. Well, before it wasn't.
Right.
And I didn't know that it wasn't. Because I said, okay, well, we can work on this and we can come back from this. And we tried, and no, it was never the same. And
Right.
I couldn't do it. So ultimately, I left. And I tried that a couple times. So for me, I can see a person coming back from it, but I can't see a relationship coming back from it. But then again... It depends on the person and the relationship, the people together. Sure.
Sure. And I've actually been cheated on in every relationship that I've been in except for one. And I always stayed to try and make it work. But I realized after going through that program and getting better and reconnecting with myself, the reason that I stayed was because I wasn't fully fulfilling that role as a man as I believed in. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have that full sense of security in myself.
To be able to say, no, I'm done.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I stayed. And would I do the same thing now? I don't know. Because from coming back from that and being in the place that I'm in now, I've only had 3 relationships since then. Ours was the longest, and I've never been cheated on in those relationships. So I don't know what I would do because I haven't been there, And it does, when you do, if you can come back from that place as a person, it does change you because, and this is just like a side note, so when I reconnected with myself and got firmly rooted in my values and my beliefs again, I knew that I was a different person. Mm-hmm. I knew that I was like the best version of myself at that point that I'd ever been. So when finally dating again, mm-hmm. I thought that some of the things that maybe used to be important weren't important because I'm like, oh, dude, I'm like this new person. Like I can forgo some of this and I can forgo some of that, but you don't realize if those things matter or not until you
experience them.
Until you date. Then you date and you're like, oh yeah, no, some of this shit still matters. Some of this shit doesn't still matter. Like so it is new. My point is that it's new. When you come out of this bad place and you eliminate these toxic habits that you've done and you become a new person. Mm-hmm. There are parts of you that are very new.
Mm-hmm.
So you have no idea.
You got to go into the waters
Right.
to figure it out.
All right. You have no idea how you're going to handle it. You have no idea, what you're going to say, what you're going to do.
Yep.
So it's basically like learning yourself and learning to date all over again. So what do you think for you? Because cheating is a non-negotiable for you. Well, no, it's a good question. It's going to make you think. So since cheating is a non-negotiable for you, if you're in a relationship with someone you really cared about and you were cheated on and you saw this person putting in the work and it did crack the door for the possibility of maybe trying again, what would have to happen for you in your mind?
This is just me speaking off the cuff from my experience. I would have to let him go. And the reason why is because I know that it's something that I couldn't get over. So stringing somebody along and trying to make it work would be doing them a disservice at that point. Because I wouldn't want to put somebody through that, because I wouldn't want to constantly be asking, okay, well, who are you talking to? Where'd you go? What are you doing? Like,
now, what if the person says,
you know what I'm saying? Like, but how long is that going to go on for? Because for me, it's going to go on. I'm never going to feel comfortable again. So is it really fair for this person to go through it for 1.5 2 years with me, and I'm still like asking these questions and checking up on them? Well, so it wouldn't be fair at that point to that part. Like, I would have to let them go.
Well, but so what if they say? What if they're like, look, I'm committed to showing you that I'm not this person anymore, and I don't care how long it takes. I don't care how inquisitive you want to be. I'm telling you that I'm committed to trudging through the dirt and doing whatever has to be done for you to stick around for me to show you.
It wouldn't have been that would not work for me, because I've been like, okay, well, you were committed when you were committed on day one, and what happened between day one and day now. So no, it just wouldn't work for me. And that's just me speaking truthfully.
No, and that's fine. I know, and that's why I want you.
You were committed on day one. So what were you doing between day 1 and day 500 where you weren't showing me this? Because this is what you were supposed to be doing during those days,
right?
And that was without the liability or the burden of showing me. So now we're gonna dump that on top of this? Like, no. Like, I had faith in you before, so the faith is gone. It's gone.
No, I get it.
And that's just how I am.
Well, no, and
that's why it wouldn't be fair to the guy. I'd be like, I have to let you go. Like, it wouldn't be fair for you.
What if he's not worried about that? What if he says, look, I just, like this is...
But I'm not going to do it to myself either.
All right, so yourself, I get.
Right. I wouldn't do it to myself.
Right.
Because I put all faith in. So I put everything in, and I'm expecting everything back. It's almost like someone's stealing from you. Like,
so let's play that.
Why would I hand you my bank account when you stole from my bank account? I would never hand you my bank account again. Same thing.
Correct. Let's play devil's advocate, because let's say somebody's out there. Let's say there's a woman or a guy out there that's been cheated on. That is struggling with the decision to walk away or make it work.
Okay.
Play devil's advocate, and like I said, what would you need to see? Like, if you're gonna try and make it work, if you're gonna stick around, okay? And like I said, the guy's saying, look, I'm here for whatever burden is gonna get put on me, because I want to show you this isn't me. So I don't give a fuck what has to be done. You can, my phone's unlocked. You can pick my phone up whenever you want to. You can put location services turned on. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't care.
So for someone in that situation,
right?
Not me.
Correct. Clearly we know what your stance is. Clearly.
So
let's help the other people that are maybe struggling with it.
I would honestly, I'm a big advocate for therapy. Like, I would be asking for couples therapy at that point. And have a professional take an inward look at me, inward look at the other person, inward look at the relationship, maybe see what caused the other person to cheat and where that gap is, and see if you would fill that gap so that it wouldn't happen again. And then there would have to be things that happen on that person's part too, like being completely open and transparent.
Right.
Like being able to pick up the phone. I mean, I don't advocate for picking up someone's phone every 10 minutes, but being able to, okay, your phone's unlocked. Like I have access. I can pick up your phone whenever you want.
Mm-hmm.
I can jump on your email whenever I want. So that would be my recommendation in that position. I'm trying to talk from a spot where I'm not in.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm 50-50 on the therapy thing because
I like therapy.
I believe therapy's like personal trainers. There's lots out there, but you have to find one that fits for you.
Yeah.
Just because you're going to a therapist doesn't mean that therapist is a perfect fit for you. It's got to be somebody that can take an objective look at both of you that both people feel comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Because you got to be truthful.
Right. That, where the therapist doesn't necessarily seem one-sided, but is trying to figure y'all out to get y'all to work together to come together. So I'm very... And the reason I'm 50-50 on therapy was because I've seen 3 therapists.
I've only seen one. She was
throughout
magnificent.
Well, throughout my life, okay? And every single one of them told me, it didn't matter what I was going to see him for, they all basically said that I have a very firm grasp on what the problem is and how to fix it. I just basically need someone to talk to and vent it out to. I swear if I'm lying, I'm dying. Every single therapist that I all went to for different shit said the exact same thing. Said the exact fucking same thing. So, me personally, I'm kind of mixed on the therapy thing. Because of the program that I got in, it was very personal. Like you had to look inside and do the work and get vulnerable with yourself. I love that. I think that's amazing because I always had an issue with someone who's only known me for like an hour telling me about me. When I've lived with me for 42 years.
Well, I like the part where they implement the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll track the trends and what you're doing, and they're like, well, this is this, and that's caused by this, and this is the source. And if you fix this source,
right,
then everything else will correct itself.
Right.
That's what I liked, because she was knowledgeable. She would and you know me, I'm science-based. She would plant everything on a science background. Right. It was really cool.
And see, what I liked about like the holistic therapy, which is kind of like personal therapy, is when they taught us about vulnerability, and once you can really embrace that, well, then you can find everything that's wrong. Like you can be like, oh yeah, I did this, I fucked up on this, I did this wrong, I shouldn't have done this, I didn't, like you can literally find everything that you failed on and be like, okay, well now we got to do the opposite of all that shit.
Well, she told me I was failing, so yeah I agree with that.
Yeah.
I do.
So I like that because I think your critique of yourself, if it's a vulnerable critique, is probably the strongest because you've been with you for however long you've been alive. So when you're like, when you can look at yourself and be like, yeah, you did this and you did this and you're a piece of shit, you're a liar, and you're not fully, embracing what it is to be a man. Right. Looking in the mirror and telling yourself that, I feel like has a way more powerful effect than someone else telling you. Because it's like, well, who the fuck are you? You don't know what I've been through. And you don't know who the fuck I am. Know? And the reason the reason that I pose that question is because that's where I was. Like I was willing at the time to do whatever to make my marriage work. Like I didn't give a shit. Like you want to put a fucking GPS tracker on my car, I don't give a fuck. Like I was willing. I knew that that's not who I was. I knew that that's not who I wanted to be. So I wasn't afraid of getting caught doing it again because I was like, I'm not doing it. So I was like, I'll send you a list of all my passwords. Like I'll do. Now we weren't speaking at this time, so this was all like written in letters and shit, just me being vulnerable. But I was willing to do whatever because I was committed to showing this isn't who I am. Now, that I wasn't necessarily doing that for her. I was doing that for me because that's what I believed what was right. And I was like, okay, I'm going to live according to what I believe is right. And I believe that this is the right thing to do. You know, and that's what I learned. I learned that from Chad while going through that, but also learning the program is like everything you do has to be for you. It can't be because of for some result of some situation that you can't control.
Right.
The end result of.
Right.
Like you do it for you.
Right.
Because no matter what happens, like
you can say that you did your best.
Right. I could say that I did okay, this is what I believe that I should have done as a man.
Right.
And I did it. So then there was no failure there. There was no failure that like my marriage didn't work. Because that was her decision. That was I mean yes, it was a yes, it was a failure that it didn't work, but after the fact I'm just like speaking, so I have to go back and like re-clarify. But after that, I did everything that I believed was right.
Right.
So from the point that it ended to where like the divorce was finalized, that period, there was no failure on my part. I did everything. I did everything that I believed that I should have done. And I did it for me. So even if this end result didn't happen, that's okay. Like
you're getting the closure.
Right. I didn't have any like from that period of time to when she left to when the divorce was finalized, there was no regret during that period. There was regret before then.
Yeah.
But during that period there was no regret because I did everything that I believed that I should have done and I did it for me. So and that's what it takes. If there's like a guy or a woman out there where you are the cheater and you truly earnestly want to come back from it, you can, providing that's what you really want. And providing you're willing to do the work and get real with yourself and eliminate all the bullshit and the temptation and the situations. And we've actually talked about this. I don't know if we talked about it on a previous episode with you and I, or if I talked about it with Sal. But like during that time when I was single, I mean, I could have gone out and had sex with random people. I mean, I was single. I wasn't doing anything wrong. But I knew that, okay, this isn't behavior that the type of man that I believe in would do. So it's not about like if it's like right or wrong contextually.
Right.
So it's if I believe it's right or wrong.
Right. Well, it goes into your whole self-confidence and self-esteem too, because if you're wanting to come back from something that you did, why would you repeat what you were doing when you were trying to fix it?
Correct. Well, and I talked about it before. It's like doing that's not going to attract the type of relationship that I want. It's not going to instill the type of values and morals in me to be the man that I want to be.
Right.
So why am I going to do it? Like we're in this rebuilding phase where I'm getting back to me, and I'm living according to the code that I believe in. So we're not going to stray from that, you know. You've never cheated, so you can't.
No.
You can't really give your fucking insight on that. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's easy to come back. That it's easy for a relationship to come back when cheating has happened. Because I know for a fact, every relationship I've been in where I've been cheated on, it was never the same after that. I believe, like you said, it depends on the person and the situation. But I do believe that it can come back.
I think it can.
I do think it can.
I think it can, depending on the person.
Yeah.
In the situation.
I think it takes vulnerability on both ends. I think that the cheater has to be willing to endure the rants of the cheatee. I guess that's the right word. Because there's gonna be shit that's gonna trigger certain things.
Yeah.
So that person needs to be able to vent those feelings.
They do.
Because I feel like if you bottle them up, it just it's a seed that grows and what are you laughing
because I'm the one that bottles stuff up.
Yeah,
that's why I'm laughing.
It fucking explodes.
That's who I am. I'm the one that bottles.
So in the beginning of our relationship, when stuff would happen that I guess would remind you of other
not much stuff
things. No, I'm not saying a lot of shit happened, but whenever randomly something would happen, I could always tell when your energy would change, and you wouldn't say anything until it was this giant fucking Godzilla type thing inside you, and then it would all fucking come out, and I'm like, how long has this been going on for? Why didn't we talk about this 4 days ago? Or however fucking long it was,
Yeah.
So I think if you're the cheater, you need to be prepared to endure those outbursts because there's gonna be some. I mean, it's like an emotional fucking roller coaster.
It is. I think on the other side though, you have to look inward and say, okay, well, and I'm not saying that it's the other person's fault of why the cheating happened, but you have to look on the inside and say, okay, well, what did I do that may have pushed this person away? Was I not emotionally supportive? Was I not physically supportive? Did I let myself completely go and get sloppy whenever this wasn't who I was when I began or when I was in the relationship? I think there's other issues on the other side too. So you have to be able to look.
Yeah.
You have to be able to look at yourself and say, okay, well, what could I have done to have caused that? Just being completely transparent and vulnerable.
Well, and that's one of the things I learned from Chad, not so much from the program I was in, but with Chad, because I wanted to absorb all the blame. I was like, the reason that I'm here in my marriage is me. And he was like, well, yes, you did these things, but there's also a reason that you got to this point. I'm like, no, bullshit. And he was like, look, I'm not saying that we're going to put any blame on her.
Right.
But you have to understand that there's two sides to this relationship. And yes, the majority of the shit that happened may be on your side. But that doesn't mean that it's 100% here and 0% here.
Right.
Yeah, it may be 90-10. But there has to be something on her side as well.
Yeah.
And I think that that's healthy also.
Yeah.
Again, it's not shifting blame. It's not saying, oh, well, if you would have done this, I would have never gone down this path.
No, yeah, that's not what it's about at all.
No, that's not what it's about at all.
But if they are, say it is 10%, or they filled in that gap of 10% and stuff still happens, then they're the ones that can say, I can walk away with complete closure that I did everything that I was supposed to do in this relationship.
Correct.
And no stone was unturned.
Correct.
So I do think it's healthy for the other person to look inward and say, okay, what could I have done? Not absorbing all the blame like you said, but maybe there is a gap there that wasn't being fulfilled.
Well, I feel like when it first comes out, it affects everybody, which is going to affect the relationship. So if you do decide to make it work and the goal is to move forward, well, so we're essentially moving forward in a new relationship, which means
it's a brand new relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. I think so too. Like things have to be handled differently. Like we're moving forward with way more communication. We're moving forward with way more vulnerability. We're also moving forward with some distrust. Like there's all these new things that we're carrying into this new chapter that we're now going to have to navigate and figure out how to navigate. So a lot of shit's got to change. You can't fall back into the same routine.
No, that's not going to work.
So for example,
absolutely not going to work.
For example, full transparency, because I don't give a fuck. I don't. Whatever. So when I was during that 4-year period, Tuesday and Thursday, I would leave, and that was my time to like go veg out. And it started out as me like going to the lakefront or going to the boat launch or something, smoking a cigar and reading or listening to music, and then it turned into the perfect opportunity to just go be with the people that I was cheating with. So when all that shit came out, then it was realized that that's when Tuesday and Thursday, like that's what I was going to leave Tuesday, and then it turned into Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. That was the days that all that.
So, let's just be clear. You needed Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday to veg out from your marriage.
No, I just said I was going to veg out like from work because I was there all the time. But I was really going off and fucking around.
Okay.
So one of the first things that changed for me was after she left, like before the divorce happened and everything, when she just moved out. Mm-hmm. Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I didn't leave the house. Like I stayed home, just because that was part of the whole routine. Even if I left Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday to just go to a park and be myself, I wasn't doing it. Just because the simple act of leaving the house was associated with me cheating and that period of time and that part of the marriage and all that shit. So even when I was there by myself, and even to this day, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, like, I don't leave that. I mean, Tuesday night, I'm at your fucking house. Weekends you're here. Mm-hmm. But Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, I don't do it at all anymore. Like, I read during my cardio. I read in my morning routine. Mm-hmm. Like, if I veg out, I go in the backyard. Mm-hmm. The whole leaving the house and going off somewhere or whatever, that's just because it was too reminiscent of that time.
I know, what day was it? It was a weekday. Because I remember you used to talk about it. It was, you would go play pool, though. Was it Tuesday?
Thursday.
It was Thursday?
Thursday.
Yeah. It was like
me, Henry,
or
Keith.
Keith.
Yeah, me, Henry, Keith. Yeah,
but that hasn't happened in...
That hasn't happened in a while. Mm-hmm. And that was legit us going to go shoot pool.
Well, I know it was legit.
Yeah, but no, that hasn't happened in a while. And that was good, but for me, because that was kind of it was establishing a new routine, and it was someplace that I could be with friends that supported me, that weren't encouraging of the other behavior. Mm-hmm. So that was a very
Henry and Keith are good people.
Yeah, that was a very positive thing for me, but I think that's part of it too. If you're a person that was in the situation where you were doing the cheating, I mean,
you kind of have to change the people that you're around.
You definitely got to. I mean, if you had anybody that was your cheerleader for that, you got to get rid of. Because I had cheerleaders, I got rid of all the cheerleaders.
And that's so crazy that people are like that.
Well, of course they are. That doesn't surprise me. That didn't surprise me. I mean, even to this day, it still doesn't surprise me. But you got to change. I mean, if you had people that encourage that behavior, you get rid of those people. If you had places you would go to facilitate that, well, you don't go to those places then. Mm-hmm. Like, everything has to change. I mean, it's almost like the closest thing that I relate it to, I know it might be surprising to people, but I've never done drugs. I just was never into fucking drugs. Just never got into them. But the thing I've heard it related to most is like being an addict. So like when you're an addict and you're trying to get over your shit, you have to like change your circle of people. You can't go to the same places you went to anymore. Some people like move cities and all of this shit. Like you have to.
Well, I think there's the thing. I'm thinking back to past experiences. So there's the playboys, who it's like a habitual thing, where there's multiple women, and then there's that hiccup where a guy makes a mistake. Mm-hmm. And then there's you have a long-term affair, like a relationship.
Yeah.
So I think it depends too, what kind of people that you have in your circle though. Because if you're,
I'll say explain.
Right. Like, okay, so say you had like an affair and it's a long-term affair and you've had guy friends around there like, hey, bro, that's not right or whatever. It's not necessarily changing your people then, or changing where you went.
No.
It's so it might be, situational.
Right. Right. Well, I mean, obviously, if you're having a long-term affair, y'all are going places or whatever, meeting up places or whatever. So obviously, you can't go to any of that shit anymore. You know, I won't even stay in a fucking hotel that I stayed in to like go meet. I won't even stay in a hotel in like those hotels anymore.
That's good to know.
I'm serious. Like I won't. That period of my life was so dark and so bad. Anything that reminds me of it, I completely avoid. Mm-hmm. I just do, just because it's just a reminder of a really fucked up period of my life.
Yeah.
So I don't do it anymore. But I do. I personally think people can come back. I think relationships can come back. But when you talk about with people and situations, like if you're with someone where you know it's a non-negotiable. Mm. I mean, you can't be pissed off when you cheat and they're not open to making it work. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you know up front it's a no-go, I mean, you really need to think hard.
Yeah.
If you don't take that mindset of, oh no, like we've been together so long, I can convince her and I can, if I fuck up, we can make it work. Mm-hmm. You need to be prepared for them to be like, look, motherfucker, I told you this was a non-negotiable up front.
Yeah.
So you're making me stick to my non-negotiable.
Yep.
But I do think relationships can come back. It depends on the people, but it takes a lot of fucking work. I mean, it's hard.
And I think you have to define what cheating is too in the relationship between.
Oh, absolutely.
Because there's certain things that people are okay with, and then there's others that obviously you're not okay with.
Correct.
So it just depends on the intensity of that too.
Well, like you said, I think you got to draw a line. Mm-hmm. Like, look, this is what I consider cheating.
Right.
So, don't dance around. Why are you laughing again?
Because I think
I feel like all these little things are popping up in your fucking head. And you're just like.
No, you've been an angel. I just kind of it makes me smirk. That's all.
Did definitely not used to be a fucking angel. I'm an angel now because of how fucked up I was before. That's why. It was bad.
Yeah.
It was really fucking bad. Mm-hmm. But you have to be prepared to put the work in, and you have to be prepared for the relationship to ultimately be altered and different. But that doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Right.
You have to create a new future. You're creating a new relationship. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's an opportunity, and it's an opportunity to come back stronger than before, providing both people do what they're supposed to do, and you put that work in together. Because when you do get to a better place and you continue to grow, which once you get to that better place, it can't stop there. Mm-mm. Like you keep going, you keep growing. Yeah. But then you can look back and say, look at where we are now, this is what we overcame, and that can continually push you to be better and better, and grow together. Yeah. So.
No, I absolutely think that if a relationship comes back, it's going to be stronger, because there was obviously there was a weak point where it was broken, and so in order to mend that, you had to put in work.
And you had to mend it stronger.
Yeah, you had to mend it stronger, which means more communication, more transparency, more vulnerability, and so it's going to progress you to be stronger.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think it depends on the work that both people are willing to put in. Like I was willing to put in above and beyond, but she wasn't willing to stick around. And she was done. So at that point, if that's where it is, you have to realize that all hope is not lost, because now it's on you. You're doing this for you, so that you can be the best person that you can be, and not do this shit again. Mm-hmm. And that was me. As it first, obviously when it first happened, everything I was doing was to get my marriage back. That was it. But then after I got in that program, and after I learned to change my thought process, it's like, okay, no, you are doing this for you. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a plan, and there's a plan for you, and there's a path that you're following.
Mm-hmm.
All you can do is you can control that you stay on the path. You can't control what comes in the path. You can't control what goes off the fucking path. All you can control is that you stay on the path.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, and doing that all for you. And I really think that that's why I got so much out of the program that I did. One, I had a really, really good mentor who was Chad that kept reinforcing everything that I was learning. But also, I really believe that I got so much out of it because I did it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because when I let go of that idea of, okay, I'm going for this end goal that I have no control over. Once that end goal changed to, I'm going to be the best man that I can possibly be to make sure I never do this shit again. Well, the game changed at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I got way more satisfaction out of every tiny little step I made. I got way more satisfaction and gained way more momentum out of every boundary that I adhered to.
Mm-hmm.
And it just pushed me. It pushed me to go in deeper. It pushed me to do more work. It pushed me to adhere to the program more. And it's very, very, very rewarding.
I think that that's why now my answer for you, say like, and it would not happen, but say I cheated on you. I think that you would, at this point, you would walk away just because you're so grounded in who you are and the work that you've put in, and it's been 100% of the way. You'd be like, nah.
I do think
I'm so grounded. Like
in
I
in
can't
this
believe,
situation,
you know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
in this situation, I think that I would.
I think you would.
Well, that's what I'm saying, and I'm saying why, because I'm so rooted in my beliefs, but because knowing that you're non-negotiable is
Mm-hmm.
cheating.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a if. I'm not saying you would, but if you cheated,
Right.
that would basically make all that bullshit in my
Mm-hmm.
mind, because like, okay, you're gonna tell me like your non-negotiable is cheating, but you're gonna cheat.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's bullshit, you know. I do think that I would leave just because of that, knowing that like you stuck so strongly that this is a non-negotiable for me,
Mm-hmm.
and to know what I went through and what I came back from and what I ultimately wanted. I think because of the vulnerability and the transparency and knowing how important it is to both of us, I think I would walk away, because it's like, you should have known.
Yeah.
Like if we had shitty communication and weren't that transparent, weren't that vulnerable, like, okay, well, you know, she didn't really, our relationship wasn't as deep as I thought it was, and you know, she didn't really get how important this was to me, and like, I didn't realize this was how important to her. So like, but knowing how it is, it's like, no, like this is,
There's no room
like,
for
like,
that.
yeah, like
There's no room
that's
for
not
even,
like, it's unacceptable.
That's like justified.
Yeah, it's totally fucking unacceptable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I you know, I say that that's what I feel like I would do when you're sitting there in the fucking situation and you're realizing certain shit. I mean, you really ultimately don't. I mean, I couldn't commit 100% to. I mean, that's what I feel like I do. But and look, the reason I say that is because when my ex-wife left, like when she found that, like when she found out the last person I was sleeping with and she left, and that fog lifted,
Mm-hmm.
like I had these realizations come at me all at once, and like that's what it was. It was like the fog was lifted,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw everything for what it really was,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw everything for what I was really doing. And it's like I was living in this fog, and my feet were instantly planted on the ground, and I was back in reality, and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck have I been doing? So that's why it's just a slippery slope, because I've been there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like it's different once you've been on that side of the coin. Like I've been the person that was fucked up, and I've come back from it, and I've seen that you can come back from it, and I've seen how important it was to me to not be that person and to make shit work and to be the best person I can. So like,
That's why I say it's situational.
Yeah, it's very situational. It's very tough. It boils down. It really boils down ultimately to the other person. Is really what it comes down to, because the person who cheated can do everything right. It doesn't mean the other person's gonna be open to it. You know, it's really ultimately on them.
Yep.
You know, which makes it harder because I remember when I was in that place, willing to like pour my heart, and I'm like, no, you don't understand. I realize you don't believe a fucking word I'm saying, but like I'm I'm serious. like I'm really serious. And of course she didn't believe me. She had no fucking reason to believe me. Like I don't even blame her for not believing me. Why would she? I was lying to her for 4 fucking years at every turn. Like, of course you don't believe me. But again, be on the other side, that also didn't change the sincerity of what I was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it really falls on the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're basically willing, and the cheater can't control anything about that.
No.
Like you can't control how the other person's gonna respond.
Mm-mm.
You can't force them to do something. You know, and really trying to force them only makes it worse.
Yeah.
Because you were being manipulative before cheating,
Mm-hmm.
and now it feels you're being manipulative again, trying to control the other person to do what you want them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then add on top of that the brain fog of their anger and their upset, and I mean that already skews somebody's way of thinking.
oh yeah,
Whenever you add anger
yeah,
and sadness.
Well, I know when I was in previous relationships and I decided to stay, and I don't know that I would do this now because I was a different person. But I know I always felt like if I'm gonna stay, then I'm gonna be true to myself, and when something feels off, or when I want to say something, or when I want to ask a question, like I'm gonna ask it.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think to an extent that that's necessary, because I think it kind of helps build trust when like the person who was cheated on can go to the person who was cheating and vent those feelings, no matter how much they cut or hurt, or can say, hey, let me see your phone, or who did you talk to, or whatever the other day, and the cheater either sits there and like unemotionally listens and takes the words that they're saying.
And you've done that for me before.
Yeah. They say, yeah, look, my phone's unlocked. Take whatever you want. I don't care. You know, or like, this is who I talked to today. Like, you talk it out. I do think that those begin to plant little seeds. So if you are thinking about staying,
I mean, that is huge. I can say from experience, just that's huge.
Yeah, I do think if you're going to stay, that you need, to an extent, to do what you feel is right for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you got to ask questions, if that puts your mind at ease, ask the questions. I mean, if you have to vent. But the cheater needs to, and look, if the person who is the cheater is not willing to do that shit, or if they're not willing to respect your feelings, where you're at, then you gotta fucking roll.
Absolutely.
I mean, there's no question about that. But as the cheater, if you want to make it work, you need to be willing to endure the fucking rants.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because you're showing them that they can trust you with their emotional outbursts from what you did, and you're gonna take it, and you're not gonna retort back to them, and you're not gonna judge them, and you're not gonna give them shit. So you're basically showing them like, okay, you can trust me with your emotions. Like, yeah, I caused this emotional outburst in you. It's okay. Like, you can give it to me. I'm gonna take it. Like, you can trust that I'm gonna take it. And
I mean, I've asked you questions before then.
Yeah.
Where, and it's nothing that you've done now, but you may have brought something up frequently enough for me to be like, hold on, you continue to bring this up, and we got to talk about it now.
Yeah. And I've never once shied away from that conversation, because I've told you, and this isn't me tooting my own horn. I mean, people don't know what goes on in our relationship, so this is just filling them in. I mean, I've always told you whatever. I'm like, look, babe, just like we talked about him. I'm like, look, my phone's unlocked. I'm like, you can.
Always unlocked.
I'm like, I don't delete messages. I don't delete shit. I'm like, whatever you want to go see in my phone is free for you to go see.
Yep, and I've read them too.
You did one time.
I did.
And I even asked you, I said, did you find anything? And you were like, no, I didn't. I'm like, there you go. But that's the thing. I know. See, I have no reservation about that because I know I'm not doing anything wrong. So I don't give a shit. Like like when you told me you went through my phone one time, I was like, I didn't get mad. I didn't get mad, and I was like, okay. And like, I didn't feel away. I didn't get anxious because I was like, well, it's not fine. So I didn't fuck. Like, whatever. But I think, and I realize that things happen. I realize that everyone has a past, and I realize that some things, trigger some things in other people. So I think I've shown you that you can trust me with your emotions. And even if you have, not that you've had like emotional outbursts, but if you have heightened emotions, I feel like I've shown you that you can trust me with those because I've never yelled at you or given you shit for it or called you psycho or
you haven't.
Whatever. Not that it happened a lot, but I mean, like I said, stuff just happens. People.
It's been 1 or 2 times in 2 years.
Yeah. But yeah, and I mean, and that those little things like they compound and they build trust.
Yeah.
So like if you're trying to make the relationship work and you're coming back from that, every time you have an emotional outburst, and every time the person that cheated takes it and doesn't react to it and lets you do that, I mean, that's just little compounding bricks that you're building your foundation.
And that's a good point on the other side too, because communication of feelings wasn't always my strongest point. It's still not my strongest point, but I'm working on it. And in the beginning of our relationship, whenever we did have a fight, and one of my girlfriends said to me, she was like, I mean, how bad do you want this relationship to work? Do you want to have the difficult conversation or do you not? And I'm like, all right, you're right. It was on me at that point, So speaking on that side, the person has been cheated on and is coming back from it, if you want the relationship to work, how badly do you want it to work? You have to bring those things up and you have to bring them forward.
Yeah.
And if the other person's receptive, great. If they're not, then roll.
Well, and I agree with that. And also you saying that actually just made me think of something that I hadn't thought about before. But I think realizing this, that you and I are a perfect example that people can come back from cheating and being cheated on because if you want to talk about people that should have the odds against them for making a relationship work, I was a habitual fucking cheater for 4 years that you knew about, and you were habitually cheated on in previous relationships. So if there was 2 people
this
should not have fucking worked out, it's you and me. Like, we should have had way too much shit to bring into this relationship to fucking work.
Yeah.
And I actually just thought about that when you said that. I was like, holy shit. But so I think that's a great example to show that like people can come back.
They can come back
from it. Whether you were cheated on or whether you were the cheater, you can come back and have an amazing relationship and have a life where you don't continually carry these triggers.
Yeah, you have to move on in order to have a healthy relationship. You have to move on from it.
Well, and
because I could have kept that with me and I could have destroyed every relationship that I got into. Eventually destroyed it just from carrying trauma along and never healing from it.
Well, if I wouldn't have fixed my shit, I would have destroyed every relationship that I would have been in. Unquestionably. So, but I think the biggest part is the communication. You communicated, the things you've been through. And I communicated to you the things I've done. So here we are on both sides being vulnerable, talking about all our bullshit. But I think you talking about your shit made me respect and appreciate the things that I do and the things that I need to do to make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hearing about all the shit I did and then where I'm at now makes you appreciate all the shit that you do and how we go through it together.
Yeah.
And all that stuff.
I think the amount that I trust you is a testament to how much work that you did to get to where you are now.
Well, but I also feel like how vulnerable you are with me and how much you lean on me is a testament to the work that you did after being cheated on and all that shit. Because I mean, not that I know a lot of women intimately like that, but I mean, I don't know how many women have come back could lean on a guy like that after being. Because all you read about on social media shit is these women who are fucking scorned and guys are pieces of shit.
Right.
You know.
Right.
It's like, okay, well, not every guy's a piece of shit. Like, when are you going to work on yourself and let that go?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Yeah. Because you were cheated on habitually. You did the work to where you had this whole list of boundaries and non-negotiables to where there was no way you were going to let a guy even remotely like that in your life. No. So if you're a girl or a guy that keeps dating these people that keep fucking cheating on you, when are you going to work on yourself enough and have these boundaries and non-negotiables in place to stop letting these same shitbag people?
Yep.
Because they all kind of carry the same character traits.
Yes, and that's what my therapist talked about. It was identifying those character traits. And once you start identifying more than one, you have to go. You have to roll.
Sure.
It is no, and this is another point, and it's kind of off topic, but like, so guys will date a woman for who she is in that moment. They see her and they're like, she's got this, that, and that. Okay, I'm interested. A woman sees a guy and they're like, well, he's got this, but there's potential there, and we could potentially do that, and potential there, and it's like, no.
Fuck that potential shit, dude.
Girl,
Fuck that.
Women have got to stop dating for potential and start dating for what it is.
That's a good point.
And the therapist was like, you're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs. You're going to have to kiss them fast. She was like, you got to kiss them fast, like, and not really kiss them, but you know what I mean. Like, go on a date.
That's going to be so fucking taken the wrong way.
Right.
No. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to go take a moment fucking right away.
No, she means like, go on a date and be good at identifying character traits. And once you identify them, roll. If it's not what you want, roll. So, anyway, but I do think therapy is a good idea for someone.
No, I think that was a great point though, because
she helped me get through a lot.
The women that I've talked to over the course of my life, or guys that keep dating these shitbag people,
they're all the same.
It's the same cycle. Like, not one cycle of a new person is different. Like, you talk for X amount of time, then you go on X amount of dates, then you fuck within this period of time.
You date for 3 months.
Then you're in love within this period of time, and then you break up within this period of time. And it's the same. Every single person, this fucking timeline for all these things to happen is the exact same. That's why my most favorite thing when people post is when they're like, I really wish I could be as lucky as some of my friends and be in love 6 times a year. Yeah. It's my most favorite. Because it's true. Because they're in the same fucking timeline with all these people. And I'm like, when are you going to change what the fuck you're doing?
What you're looking for.
Well, not even what you're looking for. When are you going to change the timeline? Like, when are you going to stop talking for 2 weeks, going on 2 dates, then having sex, then being in love in 2 months, and then breaking up during this? Like, when are you going to change some of that? When are we going to extend these fucking timelines? Mm-hmm. When are we going to talk for like 2 months and then go on dates for like a month or 2 months and then have sex after like 6 months? Like, when are we going to... Okay. And you tell some people that, and they look at you like you're fucking crazy. Like, what do you mean? Like, not have sex with somebody for like 5 months? And I'm like, is that different than what you've done before? Well, yeah. yeah, maybe you should fucking try it then. Since every other one that you did ended up being a fucking train wreck, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. Maybe you should try something fucking different.
Okay, it's funny that you bring that up. And I'm only saying this because it shocked me. But, so I'm not naming any names, but I have several male clients that have become recently single. Within a year, recently single. And all of them had said that women are faster than men these days.
Really?
Mm-hmm. They've all said it. That they wanted to go to a coffee shop or just go to dinner and that be it. And it's like the female is the one that's saying, "Are we going back to your place?" Or it's the women. I'm serious. They all reported that. They've all said it.
I'm not saying you're lying.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's hilarious. Because like I said, usually...
Like the women are the ones on Facebook.
Right, that's what I'm saying. The women are the ones on Facebook saying, oh, men's are dogs. Men's are pieces of shit. And this and that. Like, I had a friend that was bitching about a guy that she was like crushed because she thought her and this guy were going to be together forever, and he met her parents and he said all this stuff right and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, well, how long did y'all date for? She's like 5 months. She's like, and he all of a sudden just ghosted me, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, you dated for 5 months and you thought that y'all were going to be together forever? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, how soon did you sleep with this guy? She's like, well, like within the first month. I'm like, okay. I'm like, when did y'all start saying I love you? Because I know you were saying it. So when did you start saying that?
I know you were.
Yeah, because I know everybody loves saying that shit now. Well, like after 2 months. 2 fucking months. I'm like, sweetie, you were a booty call. Like, that was it. You were a piece of ass.
Yeah, you don't know.
You were a good piece of ass for 5 months, and then he found a better piece of ass.
And that's so sad to say, but
dude, if I was dating a chick, and I told you this,
mm-hmm.
like first time I went and slept at your house,
mm-hmm.
I was like, oh God, I really hope she didn't try and fuck me. I was like, God, I really hope she didn't try and fuck me. And you didn't, thank God. Because I would have been out. I'd have been like, no, you don't fucking know me. Like, you don't know me that well.
Yeah.
So, it's like, so you fucking this guy after knowing him for 3 weeks. Then, after 6 weeks, y'all are in love. You don't even know who he is. He doesn't know who you are. Like, and she's like, no, he knows me. And I know, and I knew him. I knew who he was. I'm like, really? I'm like, well, where's he at now? She's like, well, I don't know. I just couldn't believe he'd do this. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't fucking know him.
Right.
I'm like, I don't know how you thought you knew him. It doesn't mean anything that he met your fucking parents. No. Like, that doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything that he told you that he loved you after 6 weeks, except that he was a liar. I mean, that's what it meant. Is that he was emotionally immature, or that you were just a booty call. Like, that was it.
Yeah.
You were a 5-month fuck, and he found a new fuck.
Or maybe he was just emotionally immature.
Maybe
he ran through that little Ferris wheel a little too fast and was like, oh wait. You never know. I mean, not to stand up for the guy. But.
I don't know. I'm a guy, so I'm like, you're a booty call. You're a fucking booty call. Sorry, but yeah, guys. I mean, I've been on one side of it. I can personally attest that regardless how bad of a cheater or a fuck up you were, that you can absolutely come back from it and be the best version of yourself. Taylor's been cheated on. She's a great example that you absolutely can move past that and have a healthy relationship. So as far as the relationship goes, I think we both agree that depends on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Depends on if the person who was cheated on wants to stay or is willing to make it work or whatever. But do you have any final thoughts to add?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything.
Yeah, I think that was pretty good. I think I covered everything. Book recommendation, we have Relationship Grit. A true story with lessons to stay together, grow together, and thrive together. Written by John and Catherine Gordon. I love John Gordon. John Gordon's books. They're not very long, but they're fucking awesome. Like, very, very easy to read. Very, very impactful. I think I've read pretty much every book he's putting out so far. Like, I highly recommend John Gordon. He's fucking awesome. He talks about a lot of the trials and tribulations that he and his wife went through, how they got through it. Lot of great lessons in his books. This one is no different. If you're in a relationship, trying to make your relationship better, if you're in a struggling relationship, either one, highly, highly recommend this book. Very, very good book. The link to this will be on our YouTube page. So if you want to get those updates, subscribe to our YouTube page. We will be back again. Like I said, we're going to have Sal for our political and societal topics, and we will have Chad on for our personal growth and development topics. So just looking to add a little bit more value for you guys about the topics that we do talk about, to be able to give like some better insight. So thank y'all for tuning in. We will talk to y'all soon. Peace.